and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. Here let's look at a really awesome Unity tool that can give you a very quick sanity check on the health of your entire project. That tool is the Project Auditor. Like it implies, it's a tool that basically audits your entire project and tells you all things where you might want to fix. That way you can basically apply the best practice to your project. Whilst also keeping in mind, a lot of these are basically suggestions. These are not necessarily finding mistakes. So you can use this to get a quick sanity check, but then it's up to you to use your brain to figure out which of these changes you should actually apply. Now, thankfully, it is actually pretty easy to use. If you're using Unity 6.4, if so, this one is actually built in directly into the engine. So if you have a 6.4 project, you just go into Window, then Analysis, and over here, you've got the Project Auditor. So up here it is. This is how it works. However, if you're on earlier versions, you can still use it. On earlier versions, you simply use it through the package manager as opposed to being built in. So if you are an older version, like over here, I've got a project using 6.3. Over here on this one, you can just open up the package manager. And then, yep, over here you go on the Unity registry, you search for the Project Auditor, and yep, here it is, and you can just install this package. And yep, so here, let's learn how to use it. Thankfully, it's super easy. So first of all, Project Auditor is a suite of static analysis tools that examine assets, settings, and scripts to enable users to optimize their Unity project. It's really great, and like it says here, it produces a report that highlights issues in code and settings, insights about the latest build report, information about assets, and provides recommendations on how to improve. So it's a really great checklist of all things you could do to improve your game. Everything from code, assets, performance, and so on. So yeah, first of all, we begin by installing the rules. This basically just installs the package. So if that's installed, now you can start the analysis, or you can first of all go on to Preferences. And over here, this one basically opens up the Preferences window and goes over here on the Project Auditor. And over here, you've got a bunch more settings. So the main thing is, for example, over here, the project areas. So if you want to just scan for a bunch of these types, if so, you can do it. Like if all you want is really just code, you can just select that, or you can select all of them. Then there are some suggestions that are specific to some platforms. So over here, you can define on the platform, define which one it is you're targeting. If you're targeting consoles or Windows or mobile, it is going to give you different suggestions. Then up here, you have a whole bunch more settings. But for the most part, just with defaults, if you click on Start Analysis, yep, this starts doing a bunch of work. So here it's analyzing everything in the project, everything from scripts to assets and so on. Now over here for the project that I'm using, this is actually challenge number 0 for my Game Dev Practice Lab program. This is my program of weekly game mechanic challenges. It is a hands-on practice program meant to help you become a professional game developer. If you are a beginner, it helps you escape tutorial hell, and if you are an intermediate, it helps you grow up to the next level. On every single challenge, I give you the starting project files and then a set of objectives that you must complete. So if this is a very practical program, if you want to take your skills to the next level, then check it out to the link in the description. Okay, so here, like I said, I've got that project, and over here, it's basically a mini city builder sort of game. So I got a scene, I got a camera, I got a grid, and I can place down a bunch of buildings. So I can place some houses, place some office buildings, and place some power plants. Then I can save and quit, so it goes back to the main menu, and then I can basically load that particular save. And yep, here I am back in this. So a very simple project, which actually makes it great for seeing the Project Auditor in action. So here is the window. Okay, so here's the analysis that it did. We can see how it suggests this project has a bunch of code issues, a bunch of asset issues, a bunch of project settings, and then it really just says the top 10 issues, then reports on the build report. Yep, that's great. Some general session information, and then we've got a bunch more detail on each one of these specific things. So as you can see, this definitely gives you a ton of information. And now, like I said, most of these are suggestions, so it's up to you to define which ones you want to follow or not. So over here on the code, it says there are 2,000 issues, 3 are major, 195 are moderate, and then a bunch of minor ones. So you can go to the code to inspect all of these individually. And over here, you can see all of those. And over here, yep, you can see a bunch of information. You can see how it's grouped by many things. So right now it's grouped by descriptor. So you can see all of these. Okay, so it's doing all of these things. And it's doing all of these. And all of those are, here is the severity, minor, major, and so on. And then it even tells you how is that a minor issue or why is it. So this one is a moderate issue for the CPU and for memory. This one just CPU. This one handles memory and so on. So you can specifically see what exactly it's suggesting and why it's suggesting those things. But like I said, these are very much just suggestions, so it's up to you to analyze which ones you should fix or not. For example, over here, this one using a add component, over here, some code in my utilities. Here's the code. It's really just a function that basically takes in a bunch of delegates and attaches those delegates to the component actions on some kind of game object. So I can trigger some kind of action when the object is destroyed, enabled, and so on. So yep, that's all this is doing. Very simple, really just doing an add component over here. And basically over here for the recommendation is saying try avoid adding or removing components in frequently updated code. Instead, you should prefer instantiating game objects from prefabs with all the necessary components instead. And yep, 100% I agree. That is a great recommendation. Except of course, like it says over here, in frequently updated code. Meaning there's really no problem in this code over here as long as you are not running this on every single update. If you run this only once or very intermittently, if so, then it's perfectly fine. It's not going to cause an issue. It is definitely not going to be a moderate issue. So this is why I'm saying that you have to very much use your own brain to analyze which one of these changes make sense and don't. So you definitely should not really just straight up go ahead and apply all these changes, because if you do, chances are you're going to do a lot of things that are very much not necessary. So since this gives you so many things, and some of those are probably things that you shouldn't worry about, because that over here on group by, instead of grouping by descriptor, you can group by severity. And chances are the major ones might be some things that might actually make more sense. So for example, over here for the image conversion.load image, it is saying this is a major issue and mainly related to memory usage. It's basically saying that the issue is that this function over here defaults to maintaining a CPU accessible copy of the image, which is a waste of memory if it's not needed. And then the recommendation is if a CPU accessible copy of the texture is not required, then ensure the marked non-readable flag is passed on to the method is set to true. So if that's actually a great suggestion, here it is. It's this line of code where I'm calling load image. This is how this save system over here, this one includes thumbnails saved alongside each save file. So that's where I'm using that, basically converting those bytes into an actual image. And yeah, over here, after I load that image, I really don't need that to be saved on the CPU. So I can really just go and over there, I can just use the function that has this one, mark as non-readable and set it as true. And that way everything still works because in this case, I don't need to be readable by the CPU. So everything still works and it's a little bit more performant. Again, same thing on this one. I am rarely calling this function, so it's really not going to make a massive difference in the project, but still, it's a nice thing. And more importantly is how this tool is actually a really nice learning tool. If you did not know this about how this creates a CPU accessible copy, which honestly, I did not know it just because I never had issues with this, so I never quite felt the need to optimize this to the max. So yeah, this is a great learning tool. You can see the recommendations. You can actually learn a little bit for how Unity works. And either it helps you in a project or really just gives you a bit more extra knowledge. So either way, it's a win-win. Then same thing over here. So for the second one, it is saying that I'm calling object.instantiate. And over here, it's telling me how creating objects at runtime by calling instantiate can take a significant amount of CPU time and allocates managed memory. So the recommendation is try to avoid calling object.instantiate in frequently updated code. Instead, consider implementing an object pool. And the object pool class is available in Unity, so you can just use that in order to save up some memory. And yep, that is another really great tip. In this specific case, I'm not adding objects enough to actually require a pool, but if I was having some kind of issues, if so, then yep, absolutely I would be using a pool. Like for example, if I had some kind of bullet hell shooter, where you fire a ton of bullets, so you spawn a ton of bullets, destroy a ton of bullets, and then spawn a bunch more bullets. In those kind of scenarios, yep, absolutely using an object pool will help out. So if I was a beginner and if I was making a game kind of like that and I did not know about that, if so, then this tool would have just told me something very, very useful. And the other major issue in this specific case, how the raycast all, how this one apparently allocates managed memory. And if you want to avoid that, you can use the other function, raycast null. So again, same thing. If I did not know that this function even existed, if so, then this works very well as a real nice learning tool. Then for the other issues, we've got a byte array allocation. It just says how array is allocated in managed memory, so try to avoid it in frequently updated code. So yep, you've got all of these potential issues, all of them that you might want to improve on your code. Then back to the summary, so those are basically the code issues. Then we've got asset issues. So this one basically scans your entire project, all of your assets, and try to see what are the things where you could improve. So over here it shows you a bunch of things related to textures, shaders, resources, meshes, and so on. For example, a mesh, there's one mesh that is marked as read-write enabled. So over here, there's a read-write enabled flag on this model, and this causes the mesh data to be duplicated in memory. And if it's not required, you should disable this. So for example, in this case, I intentionally set this as read-write just because I want to modify something in mesh, but now that it's modified, now I should actually be able to reset this. So this is really great. This helped me see something that I actually forgot that I did. So over here, I can just right-click, open this issue, and really just finds that file over here directly in my project files. And I can actually find this mesh over here. And actually in this specific case, I can't modify it just because I think I made this directly inside Unity. So it created a .asset file as opposed to being a mesh. So in this specific case, I actually can't follow this suggestion, but if it was a normal mesh file, kind of like this one, then over here on the model, I could go here and see the read-write and make sure this one is disabled. Then for another issue, here we have the resources folder asset. And this one basically explains what the resource folder is for, how it actually has some good usage, but actually has quite a lot of cons as well. So it does help to know why you're using it. Perhaps you are using it intentionally, and if so, that's fine, you can ignore these. Or maybe you actually don't know that there are better ways. So over here, it actually tells you to use asset bundles or addressables. So again, really great learning tool. Then some tips on performance. Over here, there are a bunch of shaders that are marked as not compatible with the SRP batcher. I believe this is something you should pretty much always enable. I am not a graphics programmer, but I believe enabling this is pretty much just always a net win. Although in this case, these are the actual shaders that are built in directly with TextMesh Pro. So I'm actually surprised these are not marked as compatible with the SRP batcher. I don't know if that's intentional or not. But anyways, if it shows this for any of your custom shaders, chances are you want to enable this. So back in summary, those are the asset issues, and then we've got project settings. Over here, these are more general things related to the project itself. For example, apparently there's an issue with the layer collision matrix. So over here it says how all boxes are ticked. This increases CPU work required to calculate collision detections, and how you should untick all of them except the ones that represent collisions that should be considered. And again, on this one, you can right click, just go open issue. In this specific case, it is going to open up your project settings straight onto the Physics 2D. And over here, you can see the layer collision matrix. So basically, it is suggesting that I basically disable a bunch of these and only enable the ones that I'm going to need. Now, in this specific case, in this project, I'm not even using 2D physics. So technically, I think I could actually disable all of these and get a little bit more performance. So yep, nice thing, nice to know. Then it is telling me to potentially enable mipmap stripping, optimize mesh data, pre-bake collision meshes, the splash screen, how that one is actually enabled. It's kind of funny how this one is actually marked as an issue. I would actually recommend that you disable the splash image, so that's kind of funny. I guess it is funny because nowadays, after so many years where the splash screen was required, now it is actually optional, so it's kind of funny that they actually recommend that you actually disable it, even if you are on the free version. Anyways, then on the quality, we have a bunch more issues than on time, settings, physics, and so on. So up here we have a nice set of issues. Again, like I said, on all of these, it's really up to you to define which one of these are genuine issues and which ones are not. But either way, this gives you a very quick sanity check on the entire health of your project. In this specific case, on this project, I don't think there's anything too big that I would like to change, but that is because the project is already pretty decent. This is a prototype, but still it is a prototype made by myself with my decade plus of Unity experience. Whereas if you yourself, if you are a beginner, chances are this is going to give you a lot more tips that are actually actionable. And finally, over here, we have the build report. So if you want to minimize the size of your build as much as possible, over here, you can just make a build and you get a ton more information to help you achieve that. So yep, that's the Project Auditor. Really awesome tool, really great. I think it's definitely one of the best tools that Unity has created in the past few years. It's really awesome how now it's actually built into 6.4. So that seems to imply how Unity themselves see this as a very valuable tool. So I'm assuming this will continue getting quite a few updates in the future. And like I showcased, it's also an extremely helpful learning tool. So I highly recommend you give it a try. Either it will help improve your project, or it will actually help you learn some things that you might not know about. So either way, really awesome tool. I definitely recommend you give it a try. Here you can find the best assets at 50% off. For example, Feel, if you don't have it, I highly recommend it. I have a full asset review on it. It is super awesome. You've got Odin Inspector, which is basically a classic one. If you don't yet own it, I definitely recommend it. Bakery is great if you want to have some high quality backlighting. Text Animator is another must-have. Super easy way to add a ton of polish to your game and make it look quite a bit more professional. You've got the Asset Inventory. I've said previously how this is one of the best assets ever on the store, and I definitely still very much stand by that statement. This one is a must-have if you have tons of assets. And my own Code Monkey Toolkit is also on sale. It's a nice collection of 50 tools and elements to help you make games better and faster. Check out everything on sale with a link in the description. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.